got the colours.
Yeah.
So it's got 10 metres in the water now, so it's probably about 5 metres. 5 metres deep. So.
Yeah.
Welcome to another edition of Sailing Fair Isle. We've covered quite a few miles since the last episode, all the way around the foot of Greece, the Peloponnese. Single-handed at the moment, but I was joined for most of that by a good friend of mine, Robin, and his son Finn, and they're keen fishermen, so that's going to feature a bit in this episode. Hope you enjoy the film. Coming up, putting in the miles sailing around the foot of Greece, and I've got some help. A crew that knows how to fish, but can we actually catch something? And getting used to single-handing is not that hard.
So we are rocking around in the Anchorage a bit this morning. It's woken me up, so I'm just up here keeping an eye. Not worried about our anchor, it's the fact we've got a catamaran right ahead of us there. You really don't want those things bearing down on you. Ant and Sid on Ep48 and Caroline and David over there, all rocking around a little bit.
Ant and Sid have their own sailing channel, so do check them out, link in the description. As it got light, the catamaran moved, so I relaxed a bit and went back to bed. I actually find this sort of rocking comfortable on Fair Isle. It's the beam on roll that's to be avoided. I've got a week on my own before I have crew coming out to help with the sail around the Peloponnese, so I'm staying in the area so I can pick them up from the airport. There we go. So just going to go around the other side of the peninsula here. It's been nice to be away from a lee shore. It's never comfortable sitting there being blown towards the shore, so it should be better, and I should be there okay there for the next couple of days before I go and pick Robin up. This wind shift means I'll be much more comfortable just the other side of the peninsula. It also means I'm now further away from my favourite restaurant. I blame Ant and Sid for this introduction to a Greek fast food speciality. Turns out though, this walk to the restaurant is stunning. From Turtle Nest Beach, right through the grounds of the old castle and down through the village to the seafront, so I'm going to take you with me. Fewer holidaymakers due to COVID is helping the turtles who nest on the same beaches used by the tourists, but their nests do get marked and protected. It's a long sandy beach, Fair Isle's just there. There's been a fortress here for thousands of years, but the grandeur comes from the Venetian rule in the early 13th century.
How come the trees get undressed when it's cold? And don't they miss the leaves they left behind? Could it be to make the ground shine like gold until winter comes? Until winter comes? Until winter comes? It really makes me wonder. Yeah, it makes me wonder.
There's loads of restaurants along the front here, but actually the best value is the little takeaway one just here. And you get these, which is a gyros pita, which has doner kebab, chips, tzatziki, tomato, everything you could possibly need, along with a very cold Mythos beer. And all for €2.60. I didn't see any hatchlings while I was on the beach, but an adult turtle did swim slowly past the boat. These loggerhead turtles grow to almost a metre, that's 3 foot, and are very impressive. I did have to get moving though, and it was time to pick up my new crew, Robin and his son Finn.
Journey for the group of veterans we've followed on their return to Italy.
Robin is a good friend of mine, and we'd spent years visiting weird and wonderful places together for the BBC. This was the last job we did before I left, the Battle for Monte Cassino. Beautiful landscapes in central Italy. We're now looking forward to some equally stunning Greek vistas. I've filmed you in many places, Robin, but I've never filmed you with your shirt on.
It's not a pretty sight, that's why. Yeah. You've got to be yourself. You can't be yourself on telly. So. You can't be yourself out here. Where can you be yourself?
That's very true. For Robin, this was a chance to relax after the stresses of COVID restrictions in normal life. But for Finn, I sensed this was more a freedom to be out pulling ropes. There's no doubt COVID restrictions have been hardest for teenagers, being locked up when you most want your freedom. We soon fell into a routine. Can't trust the crew, can you? Out here, needs a preventer on the main. It's flapping right on top of his head. He can still sleep through it. Preventer on and fishing rod out. We were sailing well, and I could get on with some jobs.
You've got a bit more pump action going on here, Steve. What's happened now?
Well, the second pump within a week has gone. This whale gulper pump down here. Whoops. So it's just for the black water tank to pump out the black water. So everyone's favourite job, taking one of these apart.
What is it about you and pumps?
Yeah, well, bilge pumps hopefully all work well, but this one isn't. Although on first sight, has all these funny rubbers inside, but they look alright to me. I'll just take it all apart outside on the deck and have a look. Can't see anything wrong. All the valves, I mean, normally something sort of gone with that. The only one I've actually had gone before was the one from the sink, and that had bits of glass. The glass had broken and gone in and sort of shredded the middle, but take them all out, there's 4 of them in there. They look pretty good. So it's not that, so the only other thing could be the actual diaphragm. This is the bit that goes on inside on the pump. It's over there. So I'll go and have a look at that. Yeah. Hopefully it's that, because if it's not, then all this is working. The thing was actually pumping, you could hear it go, but nothing was going through, so if it's not this, then there's a blockage somewhere else, which would be mine. Let me see.
But it shows you've got to have all these bits on board, really. I mean...
Yeah. You have to try and keep spares for everything. I try to. The diaphragm was at fault, so the spares kit did the trick, and we were doing very well with the prevailing winds that tend to sweep you around the Peloponnese. But we were approaching the Aegean, and the Meltemi here can make progress north more tricky. It also means the Cape has to be approached with care. So we're out of the Ionian and into the Aegean, around the southern Cape. If you look at the pilot books around here, it tells tales of can be very rough weather, windy pretty much always here, big waves, all that sort of stuff. Well, not today. It's absolutely lovely. We are just about sailing. Yeah, and a mixture of sailing and motor sailing down here. But doesn't get much better than that. crew's doing very well. Finn's still fishing out the back and very hopeful actually, trying some different things.
It's not too tight.
A mixture of slow sailing, motoring and motor sailing kept us on our toes, but there was plenty of time to enjoy the landscape and wave to the monks who keep watch over sailors here. Further up the coast, the largely undiscovered town of Monemvasia. Now this is a special place. A magnificent walled town built into a rock. It's often compared to Gibraltar, but I think it's more of an Ayers Rock, Mont Saint Vincent type mashup. Talking of mashups, the Windstar cruise liner was anchored off.
It's time for an excursion. We're going to go and have a look at Monemvasia, which did look great from the sea. We've been seeing people from the Windstar over there go out on little boats to see it. So Finn, who is the tender captain, did a very good job too. He's going to take us over there and see what it's like. It's a little walk all the way along there and round to where the village is.
The Windstar was off with its sails hoisted. You can get shelter here either side of the causeway, but there is a town quay if you prefer. Mateos, the harbour master, who also runs the taverna of the same name, promises he can get you anything you might need, and having met him, I don't doubt it. But all you really want here is to walk through the city gates. Our pilot book tells us the walled city withheld a sustained attack from the Normans and the Arabs 1,000 years ago and was under siege for 3 years in the 1100s, as they had everything they needed within the walls to sustain them, including an oozary. We weren't sure exactly what an oozary is, but the pilot book says they still have one, so we went off in search.
So there's wine tasting here. But you reckon you found an oozary, do you?
Turn right towards Kyoto's Monemvasia Scrocon.
Right.
That way? I think it's this way.
Dad.
Right. Right.
Above you.
Hey Finn, seen this?
What's that? Oh, wow.
What is it?
Is that an apple?
Oh, come on, you must have one of those.
I have no idea what that is.
Pomegranate.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah. Pomegranate tree. Is that the oozary? Good wine tasting.
It's not
Okay. Good though. Ouzouris couldn't be found, but a very pleasant walk. Next day we were off and picking up some Aegean airs.
Got 7 knots now.
Yeah. This is more Fair Isles cup of tea, but it requires the full English breakfast for the crew. Good job, Fair Isles, a stable boat. We had a brief stop at Poros, which is lovely, but seems to have a lot of charter boats in a hurry. We had some serious fishing to do. So they're going to catch us a fish then, Finn?
I hope so. Put a little bit more weight on it. Got to give it movement so it looks alive in the water rather than just a floating piece of plastic.
Cheers. 5 1 litre water back. Well, at least we're clearing up the rubbish from the oceans, even if we're not clearing it of fish.
That's where the money is. Definitely where the money is.
What are you going to catch with that then?
Have we got
everything.
Really?
Everything on the planet.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a
whale.
This final success. What's he got?
I have no idea, but he's got spikes on his back.
That's one of those ones we eat.
Okay, not quite dinner, but it's a start.
Straight.
He goes. Come straight back up and eat the bread, isn't
Yeah,
it?
no, go and eat.
So Aegina Town Quay has come up trumps. We don't often use town quays, but we were glad we went into Aegina. It's a lively little town, and we decided to go in search of a proper bar, and we found one. Yeah, it's a bit precarious, only just reaches.
Well, we just played cards, so and I lost there too. What a bang!
Favourite bar. Hello. Again. So it's turned out to be quite a nice place to be. It's quite lively, it's quite cheap. It's 30 euros here for 2 nights. So I'm just making the most of things and cleaning the decks, which actually, when you can do it in bare feet, it's quite a pleasure. If you've had a boat in cold climates, it's never that nice. You've got to dress up and get cold water splashed over you, but not here. This is really quite nice. You see the ferry over there disgorging people. I think quite a few people just come in here on a quick trip from Athens, so that's why it's so popular where it's quite busy at night. It's a bit noisy, obviously, being on a dock, but you know, it's got its advantages. And if it's as cheap as this, then really I think we'll probably do it more often. Robin and Finn caught the ferry back to Athens from here, so I'm now back single-handed. That's the fast ferry coming in to pick up Robin and Finn. So I'm back on my own. Sailing nicely though. Look at this. Got to about 16 knots of wind right behind us. So hopefully be a good sail. Going to go across the other side of Athens to what should be quite a nice little anchorage there. So I've got about a week of anchoring out before I get to Olympic, which is the marina where I leave where I'll fly back. So yeah, looking forward to a nice little solo sail. Getting quite used to it actually. So there's no doubt there is a little bit more rushing around when you're single-handed. I'm sort of getting used to it. There's some systems that I've now got in place that make things easier, and actually I've got a very good tip from Andy Pagg in the last comments. One of the main problems I have single-handed is getting the mainsail up. You've got to keep it steered, properly into wind for long enough to get it all the way up, and I was taking this up to the mast and doing it, but actually there's an automatic feature on here, wind vane mode. So basically all you have to do is press standby, these two, standby and auto together, and you see that it goes wind 195, it knows where it is, so it's going to come around now up to wind. I can go up on deck and just have the mainsail up. I'll turn it off for the minute though, because I'm actually not going to put the mainsail up because I've got quite a breeze coming down right behind me. It's going to be a dead run, so I think I'll just have the Yankee up and should fly down there. Out the corner through there, and there's a belly boat fish farm in the way, so I can't do that. Just had to jibe back, give myself a little bit more room so I can get through the gap. Sometimes I roll a little bit up to come around because you've got to sort of get it through the slot, and the wind's right behind you. Sometimes it's difficult, but I think I manage. Let's see. I'm leaving the Anchorage fairly early this morning because it's just got really quite rolly in there, which is a bit of a shame because it is a lovely anchorage. Unique really, because it's got this. That is the Temple of Poseidon. I'll get you some pictures on a camera without a wide angle lens as we go past, but absolutely amazing. I tried to go up there at dawn, but it's actually all fenced off. You've got to go up there when it's open through the gates, which is a bit of a shame. I would have done that, but yeah, it's too rolly in there, so gonna move on, and I'll get you some pictures on the way past. It was a pretty amazing spot that, and you can see from these pictures though that I took from the dinghy that it was pretty rolly in there, so I did have to sort of find a little bit more shelter. But I mean, Poseidon's temple, absolutely incredible. 2,500 years ago that was made, 440 BC it was started. When you think about it nowadays, I mean, we still do things for Poseidon, like put a drink over the stern rail when you cross the equator and things like that, but yeah, we're not sort of keeping up with what the Greeks did 2,500 years ago, that's for sure. But as an anchorage, that wasn't a good one. So you have to have a look. And people have been asking me, I got an email the other day with someone saying, well, how do you choose your anchorages? And, that one, obviously, I went there for the view, knowing that it was a little bit open as a bay. I mean, I use things like this, the pilot guide here. It's very good. I mean, that'll tell you general things like, if wind is funneling in during the Meltemi or things like that, or, if there's underwater problems for, old wrecks and things like that. But actually, more up to date than that, I quite often use now on my chart plotter, which I do on the iPad, SavvyNavi, because it's teamed up with Navily, which is a very comprehensive sort of database of different anchorages, and up to date, because people are putting in information there all the time. The stuff that you get in the pilot book is out of date by the time it's printed, really. So if you want to know where the restaurants are and all that sort of stuff, then this sort of thing is the best resource for that. NOFOREIGNLAND is one that I use quite a lot as well. It's got up-to-date information in there, again, put in by just users. So, do try and do that yourself. Put in up-to-date information, good, accurate information. That's what everyone wants to know. And you can, on an anchorage then, have a look at it, find if there's a decent restaurant there, find if there's a dinghy dock there, find out, obviously, good stuff like how good the holding is as well, how deep, the anchoring is, if you might need to stern anchor, anything like that. It gives you lots of information. Read through all the reviews for those. That sort of tends to be what I do. I also look at satellite images as well. Before I get to an anchorage, I'll have a look at Google Earth. I'll have a look, even my Anchor app on here as well, on the tablet has sort of different images, satellite images. So sometimes you get a clearer view from that, because sometimes it's just reflection on the water. You don't really see the seabed, depending on where the satellite picture was taken. So I'm always looking for ones that show the seabed nicely. Places like this, I'm looking for the light spots, which are sand, and the dark spots will be seagrass, which is just no good to anchoring, because you just don't get a grip on it. But yeah, sort of knowing if there's reefs around, that sort of stuff, really, looking at those Google images or, any satellite image beforehand, really good idea. And as I come in, I have it up on one of the iPads, so I can sort of see where I am in relation to what I'm seeing on the seabed, and it might be that I'm looking for a white patch that isn't here, and I can see, oh, there's a bigger one on the other side of the bay, so I can go and have a look for that. So satellite images are definitely worth having, and if you think you're going to arrive at an anchorage that won't have any internet access, then take a screenshot beforehand so you can have it with you as you arrive in the anchorage. So hope you've enjoyed this episode. Thanks for watching.